So I just realized I mentioned the Jon Stewart interview and then didn't like react at all to the actual interview itself, because everything I mentioned in that last video they didn't really talk about. That was like kind of my thoughts. So Teixeira's argument again was like, you know, that wokeness did play a factor in it, and that the Democrats should basically focus on broad-based economic universal policies, which will actually have the, you know, intended effect that they're going after with this DEI initiative. Like, it will actually, for the most part, help disproportionately, you know, minorities, but if you know, but without it necessarily being overtly racial. Like, for example, you wouldn't, you know, you can get behind like universal free lunches, raising the minimum wage, you know, helping to increase like union memberships. Like, union memberships in particular actually have a huge outsized impact. Like, the groups that benefit the most from union membership are black people and Latinos. But you don't have to overtly say that, because once you say that, then I think, and this was his point, Americans just don't like it. And Stewart brought up a really good counter argument, which I think makes sense to me, but I think it's pretty clear that like it's not a winning issue for politicians. Oh shit, what the fuck's going on there? Okay, gotta turn around. He brought up this point that, you know, isn't tariffs and isn't that fixing an economic wrong for a specific group of people, manufacturers in the United States, at the expense of other people, in terms of like, you know, having to pay higher prices, which, like, newsflash, we're gonna have to do. I don't, like, if you don't know that, like, sorry, but that's it. That's the trade-off. And like, maybe you're fine with that, but that's what it is. But isn't that exactly the same thing? And it's like, yeah, actually kind of is. But it's also clear to me that a policy of we're going to give free school lunches to black kids only to right the wrongs of slavery or whatever, even if that is like essentially the same like metaphor for, you know, tariffs. You know, it's like, all right, we had this, you're helping one specific group, you know, theoretically at the cost of another, because they have to pay for the free lunches, but they don't get it. Is that the same thing? It's like, yeah, but it's also clear that like that policy would be so unpopular. Like, no one would want that. But you say like, hey, all kids get free school lunches. Like, who's against that? And maybe it has the effect of actually, you know, the black kids in the school probably need them more, and they will be like, they'll benefit from it. Like, think about how many, like, you know, Social Security for, if, you know, FDR did like Social Security, but just for, you know, black people, he would have had like a good argument for it. It's like, look, you know, and he would have had a better argument than even people today would. It's like, hey, like, we have like literal, probably like either, you know, people that formerly were slaves or children of slaves, and they need to be taken care of. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I can see that for sure, but it's not, I know it's not popular today. It would have been way less popular in 1930, whatever. So Stewart's got like a good point, but like politically, I think Teixeira's 100% right. Like, universal programs basically do what people on the left want to do, which is fix a lot of historic wrongs for marginalized communities. And are they more expensive because they have to be applied to everyone? Yeah, fair. But also, they're way more popular. Like, no one's getting, no, like, think about how unpopular it's talking about getting rid of Social Security, or like any of these big programs at the time. I'm sure we're like, oh my God, like, they're so big. Like, how are we gonna be able to afford, like, people are gonna want to get rid of it. Like, nope, super popular. So, you know, Stewart's got a good point, but I think that if the left wants to get serious about actually helping these marginalized communities, and also like getting the rest of the country on board with it, it's universal programs.